How y'all doing? For our usual intro. Roll pick toss. Alrighty, kind of wrote it in the description already, but what we have here is a Floyd Rose Special tremolo that stripped out while it's still on its first new set of strings. What parts I used in there? I used the back half of a saddle off of a El Cheapo Chinese tremolo to get it back up and running, but I also went ahead and ordered a set of replacement saddles. See if I can find yeah, there it is. The freaking threads. Yeah, I had the neck off, but I left it all, it was all still attached here. So I was doing some work on the headstock. Put the neck back on, attached the strings up at that end, started tuning it up, and A string popped out. I was like, oh, I must have screwed up, I guess. I must not have paid enough attention and didn't get it all the way in. So I loosened the string, clipped off the end, stuck it back down, tied it up, went back to what I was doing, and another freaking thing popped out. And it's like, how could this happen twice on one freaking string install? I was like, how could I screw it up twice? But I went ahead and clipped the end of the string off, brought some slack off of the tuners, stuck it back in, tightened it up, and it was like ting, and the freaking thing pulled out. Get these parts out of the way for a minute. And this little coil was wrapped around the threads on here. It just pulled the tips of the threads out. And maybe they didn't cut the threads right, because there was still thread left in there, but not, I mean, you could see it looked threaded, but this is all that was contacting the screw, and that pulled out. So yeah, that's ridiculous. Anyway, since this other one, since the E also did that, popped one out, I imagine at any time it might just ding too. Because why wouldn't it, Anyway. But the freaking, well, the replacements out of anything burnt chrome costs more than everything else. I didn't expect that to happen when I bought this. And also didn't expect to need parts because it's freaking brand new. But, yeah. The saddles were going to cost quite a bit more than the other special saddles because they were burnt chrome. But then they were going to, I don't have any guarantee that the replacements are going to be any stronger than these. And I didn't horse them down. I use this. This is a tool that was recommended by one of Eddie Van Halen's guitar techs. But the neat thing about it is, as you're tightening things up, once it starts getting tight, this starts to flex. So it's like, you're getting tight as soon as it starts to flex. It's not, this is the amount of torque I'm putting on it. That's no worse. I mean, a normal Allen wrench has more leverage. It shouldn't be. There's no way it should have freaking popped like that. I suspect because back when I ordered this, I believe it was kind of in the COVID kind of times, so there was shortages on everything, and Floyd Rose was sending out announcements that they were changing where and how their saddles were made. They had redesigned their saddles, and because of the shortages, the changeovers, everything, this tremolo took. I bought it, and then it took 5 months to get here. I mean, for them to make it and send it, and I think there's a pretty good chance that because it was on the new process, I mean, this saddle design, however it differs, it was a new thing. I suspected it's a bad batch probably, or an early thing that may have been corrected. But I'm not going to buy another set to find out if they're going to break immediately. Anyway, the freaking 1000 saddles are supposed to be hard steel, so they shouldn't break, when you just put a normal amount of torque on them, theoretically. But because because it was burnt chrome, the freaking price of the 1000 saddles was up over $100. I think it was like 120, which is about what the whole freaking tremolo cost. Whereas nickel ones and most of the others were like 65, 66 bucks. Just because of the freaking color. But, chrome isn't going to look good on there. Anyway, so I got the nickel ones and then I DIY'd them. Which, I don't know how well it'll show up on here. I couldn't polish them because when I started to polish it, it freaking took all the coloration off. But in, to my eyes in here, this is purple and blue. That's blue and black. Looks like they look better in person than they do on the camera. But even if they were just freaking camouflage, they would look more at home on here than the bright chrome. It's just not right. Trying to put a piece of chrome next to this other chrome. Doesn't look that out of place, but if there was more of them. Anyway, let's go ahead and do some work here. Do 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 do. Let me see. I'm gonna get my thing to make this go quicker. Oh, I need another size Allen wrench. Come on. That's about right. Okay, so it'd be nice to have this reasonably intonated before I put it back together. About 2:30 seconds. If these were all back on the base plate, I could just put a Sharpie there. 2:30 seconds. Doo-doo-doo-doo. Hope that the freaking screw here. Why have I got a hair on my hand? This screw is strong enough to survive. Because it came with the special. Seems fine. You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch. Take that all the way out because soften that saddle. Okay, let me see how these look best. Well, that doesn't look best. Oh yeah, these have bumps, so that's a 3. Floyd saddles are different heights. I'm not sure how well this is going to show up, but that has 3 bumps, or 3 little divots, and that has 1. So they're in pairs. Those two will be ones, these two will be twos, and these two will be threes. So these two are the same height, these two are the same height, these two are the same height. And that gives you a radius of, I think they're about 10. And that's a center one. That's an outer one. That's the next one. That's a center. And then there's that. I think I'd rather have those two swapped. Actually, yeah, I want to mark that. So this will be this one. And that's about 2/3 seconds. So let's tighten that a little bit. That's good. You can get that from the special tremolo. That's a Floyd screw, and that's a Chinese screw because the Chinese isn't anodized, it's just painted. The heck is that? Junk on the back of my. Probably should have threaded this before I tightened that, because it's not the straightest on there. Alright, let's get this back out where it should be. Don't like that keeps freaking shifting that over. I'm gonna have to hold it while I do it. No, it's still freaking moved. Okay. Nope. Back a little. There we go. That's pretty straight. Apparently, it's not quite as... How about... Oh, hell. I'll go ahead and do it fresh. When you do these, you need to get it straight up and down in here. Spending a little extra time to get this done right will save you time in the future in tuning, because things will be more stable, and we like things more stable. All right, one. I think I'm just going to start at the low E now. I don't get too confused. Or maybe I should... No, I'll do this one. Come on. What the heck? So I'm tightening that finger tight up there to keep the slack in the middle. It's got to come all the way out. That looks like it's not even a pix's width off of there. So that should be pretty easy to remember. It's interesting, the Special has lines instead of holes. I had a Chinese. Oh, that's weird. I was going to say the Chinese one was tighter, but that was actually the Special front half. Yep. Arr. Get the that spring thing out of the way. Get out of there, hair. I need something to put the keep those things separated. Keep them separated. Gotta keep them separated. So, if you have some twist in your strings, when you take this off, this won't be pointing down. It'll be pointing out to the side. Obviously, this one had a little bit of twist in it. So, now, it shouldn't. Once again, make sure it goes straight up and down. Oopsie. Okay, that's two. Bone saddles are getting popular. For these, do they have bone saddles? If they had an insert to keep them from stripping out like this special one did. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and go with the E. Try not to kink your strings while you're doing something like this.
Listen.
Alright, which one is this? It's that one. That's been working pretty good for a while, but yeah, it was shot during an electrical storm. I'm going to have a lot of room for that. Alright, let's get our distance here. 4:30 seconds-ish. Hairless, actually, but oh, that one has got some thingy pops. Some seams. I don't know which freaking hole I was in. What could it have been that far back? It would have been. Nah, it wouldn't have been that far back. My shim's all straight for the heck of it. Oopsie. That's better. Yep. Wait a minute. This looks like that Chinese one. The heck? It's not scratched up. For some reason, this one doesn't have the lines or knurls or whatever. Where did the Chinese one go? Chinese one had paint chewed off. There it is. Why do I have one that's right back? I'm going to change out my battery so I can see better. Alright, I'm tired of this stupid light messing up. Oh well. I'm sure it'll be fine. It'll be fine. That's weird. That's the Chinese one. Now I've lost this one. Oh, here it is. That's weird, yeah. It's just, flat on the end. These are all knurled. This is also black, and those are all kind of different color. Weird. Must have somehow gotten swapped out, but I don't know when or why. Yeah, those are almost smoky gray. Yeah, it's all the way down. Trying to get that. This does not want to bend. Yeah. Seems like maybe that's getting in the hole there at the bottom. Alright. Come on. Well, it's not 100% straight. If I can see that it's not straight, it's not straight. If I can't see that it's not straight, it still might not be straight, but at least there's a chance. Alright. That sure looks ugly. Not like it's going to go in kind of at an angle. I really don't like that. Not quite sure what's going on in there, but I'll deal with it now. Okay, that is capable of going in there like that. Why the... Okay, wherever this thing's from, it's a piece of crap. Looks terrible. Weird. It also squishes the crap out of this string. It's weird. Oh shit. I don't think I measured that. We'll put it in between these two. Share the love in chat. Love you guys. I love you guys. They're not fitting in there. I never even loosened it at this end. Oh, that's got plenty of room. Cut off this bend. It goes in just fine. Shit, I fucking tightened the wrong string. Busted the shit out of it. I had it off of the string for a second. Oh boy. I freaking blew it out there too. Yeah, that is blown to heck. So I can't just fix that one. Damn. I want to put brand new strings on this thing. Yeah, I got some of these to use up. I guess I'll be putting all new strings on this thing. Fuck. This string just coming to pieces everywhere. The coils are breaking off. That coils are coming off in chunks. That's freaking weird. I've never seen a string do that before. I think this was probably a set of fenders just like this. I think this guitar is cursed. Okay, EAD. Brass is the 6th, and silver. the heck? Okay, that's that one. Alright, silver string. Take off the end that exploded. Throw that away. Alright, so I'm going to cut off a piece here. Anything that light. Why isn't that tight? Well, do I have a pair of... Shit. Apparently that needs another washer, but I'm not going to worry about it. Just want to tighten these when I put this on. Well, I guess I'm not. I just worked on the headstock recently. Okay, so I'm going to go through that. Bring it around once. And twice. Got to clip off the end. The reason I'm doing it this way is as you wind up the things and it drags the string around, the post, it can start twisting. What that does is creates a torsional load on the strings. When you lock it down there, and you lock it up here, if there's twist in the string, you've got a twist locked in. You can stretch your string, and that'll help deal with tension issues caused by lengthwise. tension imbalances. I don't know what you want to call it. But that won't help with the torsional loads. So what you end up with is you pick up your guitar, or let's say you tune your guitar, you play it, it's all in tune, everything's fine. And snip that off about. So we got that there. I'm going to snip it off right about here. So you tune your guitar, you play it, it's all in tune. You set it down, you walk away for a while, then you come back and you pick up your guitar, and it's out of tune. Get that nice and straight. And the more you tune, the more likely you're going to get some twist in there. I'll show you cut that off a bit shorter. So yeah. I think this is probably it. Okay, so your guitar is out of tune when you pick it up. So most people would then tune it, right? Then they play it and it goes out of tune. So they have to tune it again, and what's likely going to happen is they're going to end up tuning it right back to where it was before. Because what happens is as this sets, any of the twisted strings is going to tighten up. So when you pick it up, those strings will all be sharp. So if you tune it, by tuning it down, then you go and play it, that stretches it back out again. Now you've got to tune it back up to compensate. And then when you set it down, it does the whole thing over again. Anyway, one thing you can do is when you pick it up, don't tune it. It's out of tune, don't tune it. I don't even feel like saving these strings. I was thinking about saving them in case something else happened, but I want to see them go. What you should do is if I picked up this guitar and it was out of tune, it's not, but pretend it is. Stretch the strings. I usually do the Jimi Hendrix chord a couple of times, then I grab the low strings, pull them high, take the high strings, push them low. Give everything a good stretch. Give your tremolo a good stretch. Always finish flat, not sharp. And now, if you had string twist, there's a very good chance that your guitar will just magically be back in tune. Then you can play it and set it down. It'll be out of tune the next time you pick it up. Stretch it again. You don't have to tune it. Just have to stretch it whenever you want to use it. Or if it's real bad, that may not be enough. But if you have a lot of twist in one of your strings and it's really bad and going out of tune all the time and making you angry, one thing you can do is end this string. Like if this was already wound up, actually I'll go ahead and wind it. Let me chop this son of a gun off. There we go. So I'm just wrapping this around. I'm not pulling it around in order to try and decrease the amount of twist I might get in it. I don't really know what starts the twist because it doesn't seem to always happen. But once it starts, it's going to keep twisting as long as you keep tightening. Get that nice and free. Okay, so to deal with the string twist, if it's already in there and it's real bad, so your string's like so. Loosen your string up, get some slack in it. Well, you need to loosen the lock and detune it to get some slack in it. And take it out of here, clip off the end, pull it straight, stick it back in, and then tighten it up. Because all that twist is gonna, as soon as it's undone down here, that twist is just gonna go out of the string. So then when you retighten it, it should be pretty good. May not be perfect, but it should be pretty good. Alright, I think I actually need to only go a little past the end. Trying not to wind too much on this. I found that, you know, your enemy is winding the strings. So if you get locking tuners and use them correctly, then you don't really get string twist in the first place. Because the way you should be using a locking tuner is you line up the hole so it's going straight with the string. Stick the strings through the locking tuner, tighten the lock, clip off the excess, and then just wind it just enough to get it up to tune. You won't even go a full revolution. But that's what it is about locking tuners that quote unquote enhances tuning stability, is you just don't get any string twist in your strings. If you are somehow not getting string twist, then locking tuners won't help you. That's the only thing they do, which is an extremely valuable thing. But it's not magic. Okay, those two are done. Let's do these two. I feel like doing it. Wait, which one's? Okay, that's A. I feel like doing A. Weedy-dee-dee-doo. Weedy-doo-doo-doo-doo. Weedy-dee-doo-doo-doo. Weedy-dee-doo-doo-doo. See that when this is one I had off earlier, that's going at just a little bit of an angle. When I took another one off, it was going clear sideways. So that the one that was over here earlier had a lot of twist. This just has a little. That's not bad. Here in a little bit we'll talk about stretching strings too. Okay, so I generally like to go one over and one under. I think I'm just going to go that far. Don't kink your string when you're doing this. Make sure all that potential twist is out of it. Lock that sucker down a bit to hold it in place. Come down here, chop her off about at the end of the saddle. Get it straight down in the saddle and all the way down, but not under the dang thing. It's not centered very well. Come on, scoot over. In the middle and straight up and down. There we go, that's pretty good. Keep a little tension. Since I've got my tremolo way up, I need to not have that too tight. Alright. Let's grab our lowy. My string's already loose. It's a good idea to keep your finger over that so that black piece doesn't go flying out. Have that just start to go under that. Take that off. I can just get back in your place. Oh God. This one's still freaking weird. Tilted back. Bend that down a little bit so it matches the curve. Keep a little tension. I'm going to go ahead and tighten the locks on these two just to kind of keep them from doing weird stuff while they're loose. Don't clip the wrong string. And this time I need to change the saddle too. I'll take that all the way off. Pull the string out. That's interesting. Keep that string so they don't pop out. Okay, that's number 2. I need to get this one measured. That's about 1/32, and it's in the front hole. About 1/32. Black piece out. There. Out. Here's my little spacer pick. Alright, 1/32. Let's put this puppy back in. And our screw back in. Two strings to go. I should have changed out this pickup while I had the strings off, but we don't really have the time right now anyway. This is the yeller one. This one came pre-kinked, so I'll just cut off past that kink. Rest of the string looks fine. Get this on a little more than the wrapped one. Sproing. Okay, well, we do this. This is being a bit of a pain, so we'll just take that off. Ah, I got it on the wrong side of the screw. The right side of the screw. Maybe. One could take this little bar off, but those screws tend to strip, so. Oh wow, there's pieces of those coils off of that string all over the place. Just exploded up here. About the end of the saddle. Of course, if you haven't already got your intonation fairly close, then you might want to have it a little longer, so that you don't run out of string. I think when I'll eventually change these studs from the original screw-in type to the others, I think I'll shift the studs forward a little so that everything isn't up on the front edge. It's tuning a lot more than I'd like. Kind of hard to avoid on my strings though. Okay, the last string is Lake Placid Blue. Back up here. Actually, I'm gonna bring that one in from the side. Pop that out down here. Hold down the black piece so it doesn't fly out if there's some tension on the string. The string does not want to come out. The hell? Taking the screw out, but the string does still not want to come out. I don't know how they got wedged down there. Alright. through. Do a big bend on that sucker so maybe it'll stay in place a little better. Having a hard time getting it started. Hello? That should hold that in place pretty good. Shouldn't be any twist in this string. Right there. I should have held this in place with my nut so it doesn't start sliding around. Alright, well, I haven't even changed the haven't changed the saddle. Since that really can't go any farther forward. Just a little there. I put that in the right way. Yes, I did. Oops. Hole goes at the bottom. It's a noisy screw. Ow! Dabbing my palm with this screwdriver. Hard to hold on to this thing. Straight up and down. All right. Do. Oh. Coat. Save a little battery. Forgot I loosened. I mean, I tightened those. Okay. There's that little piece of pencil lid that broke off. Alright, so now it comes to string stretching. So you hear that string and look, oh, it's E. It's tuned to E. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now it's D.
Is Vicky coming home tonight?
I have not heard anything.
It smells like stale milk.
Huh?
Did you do a strawberry quick?
I did fingeries.
Oh, okay.
Try it again. That's pretty good. Usually 6 does it. So this will also help on guitars without tremolos, or ones that have tremolos that go against the body, non-floaters. When you're bending strings and stuff, you're doing the same thing that the tremolo does, really. Jesus, that scared me. Now, if you have a non-tremolo guitar, you would stretch the section, the vibrational section, but then you also need to stretch if the strings go down here past the bridge into a tailpiece. You need to take your finger and stretch that string a bit, and up here above the nut, because you get this section of string stretched so it'll be more stable, but then all this is unstable. As soon as you pull that string, that's going to pull this back here, and then you've got a tension problem again. So take your finger and stretch the shit out of those. Guitar right over there, it'll set for a month or two and still be in tune. Some people are like, oh, it doesn't make a difference. Of course it freaking makes a difference. It's going to have to be stretched one way or another. Now, if you like your guitar going out of tune a lot until you finally get them all stretched out through playing. One thing, but it's just silly not to pre-stretch. I think I only did that a few times. BRB. Oh dear. Water's empty, my Coke's empty. I have to take a pill. How you doing, sweetheart? How you doing? Pretty good. I'm streaming. Let's check something real quick. I don't think I've played this guitar for a week or so. Try this guitar. I don't think I played it. for at least 2 weeks. That last guitar has lockhead tuners on it, and it has been super stable since day one, pretty much. If you're out of tune, that chord will ring horrible. Guitar's in tune, but I'm not. I'm pushing a little bit too much on some of the strings. Stretching your strings makes a difference to tuning stability. This fan blowing right on my strings, that's not a good idea. Actually, I need to. I want to be able to drop D on this. Gotta have that pretty high. Taking out my tuners a bit. My fine tuners, because you don't want them all grounded out. Go ahead and lock it and see where we're at. There you go. Wonder why it changed so much. Not sure why that. Quite a bit of stretch on those springs. Maybe they needed a little exercise. What are you doing here? I only just joined. Oh, I just, well, I changed out all these saddles from the specials that were stripping out. These are 1000 series saddles. And while I was doing that, I busted a string, and so I went ahead and put on new strings. So I just finished putting on the new strings. So I'm getting her tuned up, and then I'll give it a quick check out. Make sure it's set up all right. Oh, and welcome to the channel, by the way. Okay. It's getting pretty stable now. So, yeah, I think it sounds pretty good. Just a little more gain, but not off the gain. The high gain channel had plenty, but on this channel, just a little more gain on the pickup. But it's a good sounding pickup. It's a Seymour Duncan custom. On this, yeah, I should be able to. Still in tune. So yeah, Still in tune. Well, at least in tune with itself. Sometimes it's a little cranky about and I'm actually a little bit high. That's better. Oh, I should check oh, so we're in tune. We need to check the relief. Which is actually a bit high. Would love to have a guitar with Floyd Rose. My Strat goes out so easy when I use the trim. So yours got the 6 screw tremolo, or is it 2 studs, or what kind you got? I don't have anything in here like had it set up recently, but didn't check that. Well, the original Fender tremolos had 6 screws that it rides on, and then some models had 2 studs like that, just 2 that it rides on. I would think it'd be easier to keep a 2 in tune, but I'm not a big fan of those kinds of tremolos because they apparently can be kept in. So yeah, it's just regular screws. I would look up some information about keeping those in tune specifically, because there's some famous people that use them, and so there's some things that they do, their techs do to help keep that in tune. One thing I would recommend is get one of these suckers to stretch your strings, like so. You'll never be able to stretch them as good by hand as you will with one of these, not as consistently. That really helps because you can only ever be as stable as your strings. If your strings are, unequal tension all over because they've never been stretched, then you can't ever have it, really stable. But that's one thing that's good to do. Locking tuners can help because one big issue with it on your guitar, have you ever had a problem where you like tune it and then set it down and you come back later and it's out of tune? So you have to tune it again, then you play for a little while and it's out of tune, so you have to tune it again. The one I use is called a Stretcha. I think that's the original version of these. I started using it after I saw one of Eddie Van Halen's techs using it. And I was like, well, let's try it. And it's really good. But now there's a whole lot of cheap imitation ones out there. I don't know if they'll last or not. Thinking about putting locking tuners on. It goes out of tune so easy. Tried my friend's Telecaster with locking tuners. It was delightful. So what can happen, or what tends to happen, is when you as you tighten your strings when you first put them on. As this is wound around, pulled around that post, it'll tend to twist. Doesn't always get started, it's kind of random, but once it gets started twisting, the more you tune it, the more it'll twist. And locking tuners avoid that problem by, you just stick it through, straight through the tuner, lock it, clip it off right there, and then you only tune it, like a quarter turn. So the twist doesn't get started. Once you get twisting your strings, then they'll keep going, as you play, it'll pull it out of tune. As it sits, it'll tighten up and pull it out of tune. It'll just be a mess. So, I guess back when Eddie Van Halen was using the old style tremolo like what you're using, one of the things he would do to avoid that is I can find a flat screwdriver. Can't even find a flat screwdriver. Is he would stick a screwdriver up in there in this little groove, and as he would tighten the strings, he would turn these things to keep this twist out of it and help with stability. Which that's a bit like, it's much easier to just have a good tremolo. Yeah, there's some YouTube videos of people that know a lot more about the standard Strat tremolos than me, and they have some good ideas about helping them keep in tune. Okay, so I need an Allen wrench. I don't know if any of these is big enough or not. Because we need to adjust the truss rod. Actually, I wonder if I have the right size on here. That would be a lot easier. Somehow, oh. Ta-da! That doesn't seem the right size. I don't know. Ah, there we go. That was odd. What? Come out. There we go. The bit stayed in there. Alright, tighten it a bit more. That's the first time I've ever used that extender. When did you get into customizing guitars? Well, I got my first guitar as a short scale guitar when I was 14, which was late 80s or mid to late 80s, and I had to learn to work on my own guitars because there wasn't anybody to do it for me. So I've always kind of done that. But nowadays, you can learn a lot from the internet, which is wonderful. Yeah, that should be about right. When I was 16, I got my first full-size guitar, which is this one. Which is still my main guitar. It's almost 40 years old. 30 something anyway. Of course, that doesn't mean I'm good at this stuff. It just means I've been doing it a long time. Alright, I think I've got our truss rod set. See if that affected our tuning any. Oh, thanks. It's good enough for me. Make sure my base plate is level. And it is not. Ow. Blinding myself. Okay. So what I'm doing here is for Floyd to operate at its most optimum, you need to have it level front to back and level side to side. So what I'm doing here is taking this and sliding it under. There's a little bit bigger gap in the back. You know, it can be a little bit off and be fine, but when you're setting it up and you change your strings and everything, if you get it as perfect as you can, then throughout the time that you're playing on those strings and everything until your next maintenance period, it can change a little and it won't make a big difference. Whereas if you start with it out, then it can only get worse. So I'm a little bit high on the back. I need to tighten these mama jamas a little. tighten them about the same amount. And I have to retune it to compensate for that tension I just added in the back. Made a fretless guitar. Have you tried that? It's fun. I was going to try it again, I think, with a Squire Jazzmaster or Mustang when I save up enough. I actually have a plan to do one. I never have done one. But for fun, I bought some glow-in-the-dark powder. I figured I would pop the frets out, mix some epoxy with the glow-in-the-dark powder, and fill the slots so I'd have glow-in-the-dark fret markers. Well, I know the concept, but I've never actually done it. How did the one you did turn out? Okay, now that I've done that, I have to recheck this. Tighter here. A little tighter there. May have gone too far, we'll see. Turned out way better than I expected. I bought a Yamaha Pacifica. I played one of those a long time ago. Had a roommate that had one. Heard they were good for custom projects like that, and it was good price and good condition. Got really good. I'm probably going to take the strings off and sand the neck more. Also having some issues with neck relief, getting the action low enough. Well, if you did you take the nut down? Because get this out of the way for a second. So I have a little thing here that might be helpful. Guitar stuff. He may have covered this then, but okay. Hard. Oops, I got something in my way here. Let's see. Need to make this window capture. Try this again. Okay, there it is. Yeah, the thing that I was going to talk about is your nut. So, let's see. Yeah, what they're talking about here is on a normal guitar with frets, you actually this one was too fucking high. I just did some work on this, but so I need to actually file this down. But see, for a problem you have, let me bring this up. When I lay it on its back, it goes up higher in pitch. Okay. Let me get a good E here. Alright, so if you've got your nut height right, then when it's in tune here, and then you hit here, it should be right on that F. You can see that I'm going way high. I mean, well, if it would, my stupid twitchy thing would stop acting up. So if it's in tune there, and I go up one fret, that should be fine. That should be on there. But that's because this is actually too high. And what you want to do to get your nut right is if you push this string down, you can see that little gap there. If my string is out of the way. Got that thing in the way. If you hold the string down at the first fret, there's a little bitty gap here. That is as much gap as you need. You don't need any more than that on this fret. So if this fret is higher, then when you play here, you're going to be out of tune. So basically, if you're going to be fretless, you're going to have the nut low enough up here. You know, you have to subtract your fret height since you don't have a fret. And your nut will be very close. Your nut slot needs to be very close to the fretboard up here, or else you'll be out of tune for the first half of your fret or neck. And of course, that's going to affect your action some too. To go that far, I wouldn't try sanding the slots. If your slots are already fine, pop the nut off and sand off the bottom, and then stick it back on. But let's see, on here, it's about 1/64. Very small. Let's see if I've got a thin pick here. That's too thick. More than 10 thousandths. But you're probably not going to want to go over the thickness of a thin pick anyway. About 12 thousandths of an inch. Yep, centered in the 63 millimeter. Well, you definitely don't want back bow. You're going to have a bit of relief because that's just how the geometry on a guitar works. Because you have the string is flat here, but when you start it vibrating, it's always going to vibrate the most over the middle of your scale length. This is a 25.5-inch scale, which is what? Oh. My camera to get way up there. But yeah, the distance between your bridge, saddle, and your nut is your scale length. You said a Pacifica. I don't know. Fender is 25.5 or 25.5 from there to there, and so is this. So half of that is 12 3/4. But basically, your 12th fret is going to be exactly in the middle. We're close enough. It'll be exactly that far, but at the bridge, because of intonation, it may be a little more. Anyway, your string is always going to vibrate the most at the center of its length and the least at each end. So you need to have more clearance here than you do here or even here. That's why it has to be bowed, is because it's an elliptical shape that the string makes when it starts vibrating. So it's kind of an oval. You got to have that extra clearance here, or else you buzz against the thing. That's the whole reason why we have the bow. If it didn't do that, then you could just have this straight. If you're talking about, like, when you say tension, are you talking about the relief? Okay. One thing, if you get a little bit lost, you might look at the information about things like cellos and violin, because those are already fretless instruments, and it's going to be the same principle. Um, but yeah, the amount of relief you need, you only want to have, well, you want your action to be just enough that it doesn't rattle against the frets, or in this case, the fret board. Because the higher your string is, like if you bend a string this way, it raises in pitch, right? Well, if you bend a string down to the fretboard, it will bend and pitch that same amount as if you were taking it sideways. It's still bending the string. So if your action is high and you push down, that's like bending the string that far, and it'll go out of tune, or play out of tune. So you don't really want to have the action any higher than necessary. And you don't want to have more relief than necessary, because the goal is to always have the string as close as you can get without adverse effects. Because, you're wanting to be able to play in tune, and the only way that's going to happen is if the string doesn't bend too much when you push it down.
Honey, dinner's ready.
What's dinner?
I don't know, something I made.
But I'm not really sure what the relief should be on there. When you check your relief, you have to have the first fret down. Well, in your case, you'd want to go directly on the first fret marker, because where you play on a guitar with frets is between the frets somewhere, but when you play a fretless, you need to play exactly where the fret would normally be. That's where your note would be, because when we push down here, it's actually playing here, because that's where the fulcrum is, where it bends. Anyway, if you put that on where your first fret marker would be, and then you can go just where the body meets the neck, or you can go where the last fret would be, and then just look at the biggest gap. So it's not a specific fret area necessarily, you just, the largest, where the gap is the largest. You check that. You probably, on a fretted guitar, you'd go for like 10,000ths probably. But I don't know, on a fretless, I'd start there, make sure your action is right, and then see how it plays. If brain moment. Basically, just see how it plays. If it oh, I can't think. I ran out. But maybe that'll get you started anyway. But like I said, I've never actually had a fretless guitar. I just know the principles, and I know about regular guitars. Do you have any videos of it playing? Because that would be cool to see. I think I'm gonna call this good for now because it's supper time, and do my outro if I'm in tune. Hey! Ireland now. That's cool. Yeah, let me know if you get any up on YouTube. I'll go check out your channel. I haven't tuned this, so. Rock and roll picked us. All right, take care, have fun. Good night. Thanks for coming